Good evening. My name is Richard Feller, and welcome to another episode of In the Moment. Tonight, we're going to be continuing to talk about what happened in a fire that I was in, and I escaped with my life, and the whole house burnt down. It was a tremendous loss. However, in the charred remains of the house, there were some notes that were left over. And this is what I'm going to be continually sharing from um, with you tonight. And last week I spoke about untying emotional knots, and I'm going to be going from there into the cycle that needs to be escaped, to be released from those emotional knots. And usually, what causes us to be locked within ourselves is and experience tremendous pain and pressure needlessly is because we practice what we do not understand. And here's a picture of what that looks like. I'm going to hold this up nice and close. And this is the place I was living at. It's called 16 Leonard Street in Red Bank, New Jersey. And if you go to check there, the house is not standing there anymore. It's a vacant lot, or at least it was when we left it back in 2017. And the whole house burnt down. And this is one of those notes that were left over. And when you're looking at this here, let me explain it to you. This line over here, coming up here, represents limitations. This big circle represents the space in which we live, our soul, and what is contained within us. Now, this limitations line coming up here keeps us trapped within ourselves and off center and off balance. And when we're off balance and we have no center, it's a painful place to be. Then what's this in the center that's off balance? It's a dragon spirit that has a false central rule that as we're uncomfortable, it drains energy from us and feeds and maintains our space. And in this type of picture, it's a painful place to be. It's like a prison. So we're prisoners within ourselves. And the cycle that needs to be broken is escaping that prison within ourselves. Okay, let me continue. We're going to go on to the next diagram. And we're going to see how to get out of that prison. But first, we have to have a full understanding of what the cycle looks like of this prison. Okay, here we are. The cycle that needs to be broken. And that is, we have to not practice what we do not understand. In life, we learn from others who are practicing what they don't understand, whether it be religions, whether it be societal structures, whether it be, everything is based upon an idea. And except for one thing, and that is life itself. The essence of life itself in purity emanates truth. And when you have a relationship with that, with who the truth is in the essence of purity, in pure life, and when that picture of relationship is greater than all else, there is release from that prison of pain. So here we have a picture of a, for the lack of a better term, a higher power reality. And when that higher power reality is less than all else, we're in prison. And that all else would be the God in which we have a relationship with. Now, you know from my prior teachings that God is Jesus Christ in the Son and in the Father and in the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit leads and guides to Jesus Christ, who is the essence of pure truth and is manifested in bodily form as the Son of God, to experience him directly. And he can experience us, and we can have an interchange and relationship. So, before I continue on with this, let me talk about something. The Psalms in the Old Testament talk about the Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts is the Messiah. And when we are in direct communion with the Messiah, he draws all people unto himself, all tribes, all tongues, all kindreds, all nations. And when everybody is focusing on the same God, there is peace, especially when that God is life and not destruction and not death. And there is a reality that I did speak about on prior teachings. Now, okay, so let's move on here with, okay, so this is a bad pattern right here. When God is less than all else, we're going to stay in prison where there's no hope. And when there's no hope, you are, how do you say, you do not have an answer to change the situation you're in when there's no hope. Okay? You cannot see your way out because you are, I'm sorry, you cannot see your way out of your discomfort because you're just plain stuck. And how do I say, you're practicing because you've been trained to practice what you do not understand. And when you practice what you do not understand, the truth is not in you. For you to have light to see, everything is dim and dark and confused. And when that happens, you get overrun. And we're going to take a look at the next diagram. So we got this picture here just before we're being what it's going to look like to be overrun. We have to get untrapped from being within ourselves, which was this old pattern over here. And that is the being off balance or off center in there. Okay. So let me move right along here. And let's see how much we have time for today. Oh, this is upside down here. Now it's upside right. There we go. So let's start out with this side over here. Now, when there are no boundaries, there's no balance. And when there's no balance, there is no clear sight of love. And here, a center without boundaries puts you in a place of abuse. And when you're used to abuse, you're going to pick up things to escape the uncomfortable position, which will lead to more abuse and more abuse. And abuse is not life, it's pain. So, being overrun, having no boundaries to protect yourself, what kind of boundary do we need? That boundary we're going to be talking about in just one moment. And let me take a quick review here. Do we cope by acting out, releasing energy towards honesty, remaining in the moment or lose ourselves. And how does that happen? This is what happens when we get overrun. We lose ourselves. So we need something called a boundary that goes around to protect our center. And let me go to the next diagram here. This is number 3. So here's an example of saying, I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm tired of being overrun and abused. Stay away from me. And you push people away. And this is an unhealthy boundary. And when you have an unhealthy boundary like anger, what ends up happening is, as you enter into rebellion, and rebellion turns to rage. And when you walk around angry and rageful, people are going to stay away from you. And to protect yourself, you put up angry boundaries, but at the same time, you're keeping people away, and it becomes lonely and isolated. And this anger, I'm going to move rather quickly on this because I want to get to a place where I could leave off so I could pick up. Here we go. And this anger becomes as prison bars. And when you get enough prison bars, all goes dark. Can you see that? That big black hole that people land in, the pit that the Psalms talk about. Now, within the Psalms, there's a place, as I mentioned earlier, with the Lord of hosts, that can meet every need. And as our needs are met, an understanding of full relationship with God, our physical needs are met spiritually. And we don't have to keep reaching out for something to meet the cravings of what we first thought were so great that we try to match that first taste, that first high, that first whatever it is, to stabilize us from the uneasiness of the swim in an unstable world. And when that happens, with no stability, everything that can be shaken will be shaken. So that which will remain to grow through the wave of time, which is in flux and in motion, which is the mother of all addictions. Because when we feel uneasy inside, we all live in the belly of a beast world where we pick up we all live in the belly of a beast world where we pick up addictions to numb out the pain of being digested. It's an old saying of mine, or perhaps that the Lord gave me. Okay, here. So we want to break these boundaries, unhealthy boundaries, I should say. And we're going to be talking about next time how to break the prison bars that put us in a black hole and become and when we're in this black hole and we can't see our actions, what happens? We too become abusers then without knowing it. Imagine that. You become an abuser without knowing it when everything is dark and dim and you can't see your actions, where you're coming and where you're going. And what do? You hang out with other abusers. And how do you get out of this hole? We're going to be talking about that next time. And thank you for joining me today. This has been Richard Feller. If you want to know more what I'm about, I have a website, which I'm going to show you in just 1 minute. I just want to take a quick look here. So with enough prison bars, you abuse in isolation, and it's dark in isolation. That's when you abuse yourself. And some people, unfortunately, equate abuse as comfort because that's what they're used to, and that's not a healthy place to be. And this is the website that you can visit. It's called CallingtonCastle.com. And I have some tremendous blogs there. If you visit the box that says from the editor and from the author's desk, I have some terrific poems and insights there for you to check out. And again, and there's also a nice little sizzle reel commercial you could check out, and it's about 4.5 minutes. And if you really like that and want to watch a little more, there's a short flick you could see. It's like $2 or $3. Um, and I also have a book for sale there. Took me 15 years to write. And this has been Richard Feller. Thank you very much for joining me. And I got some more great stuff coming for you next week at 10:30 Eastern Time. So hang in there. And I'm even considering doing an audio book coming up from a series that I'm working on. And thank you very much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you next week, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And thank you for joining me. Hopefully today has brought you a little love and a little peace. I don't have my candle on today. I forgot to put my candle on, so that was a little peace. Or that's a lot of peace now. Okay. And a little love. That's the heart. To bring you some joy and blessings to you. Thanks for joining me again. And I look forward to seeing you. Bless out.